Hello, teachers. So, today we're going to talk about giving feedback to our students, and we're going to cover five main points about feedback. The first point is about the importance of setting clear learning objectives before we even give feedback. And usually we do that in the beginning of the lesson. So, with the students, you set very clear learning objectives. For example, the focus can be about the past simple, and from the beginning of the class, you actually tell your students that this is going to be the focus of the class. So when you provide feedback, students know exactly what's the feedback about and why you're giving that specific feedback. The second point when it comes to feedback is the timing of feedback and when do we give feedback. We have different techniques. You can give delayed correction, which is you wait till the activity is over and then you give feedback after the end of the activity, or you can actually give feedback on the spot. We call that also hot reflection. It all depends on the objective of the activity. For example, if the activity is mainly focusing on accuracy, so it is okay and it's better to interrupt your students when they make a mistake in that particular area you're trying to make them improve. So we're gonna keep going with that example about the past simple. So if the objective of the lesson is to understand and use the past simple, and you're having a controlled practice that focuses on accuracy, it is okay to give hot reflection on the spot. But otherwise, if the activity is focusing on fluency, it is better to delay your correction till the end of the activity because you don't want to um, interfere with the students' conversations because that might affect their confidence. So we try to avoid that as much as possible. For fluency activities, we try to kind of disappear and be in the background, just monitor the students and not doing too much, not giving feedback during that process. Um, the third point that we can discuss is how to personalize our feedback. So, how to make our feedback personalized as much as possible. Because different students make different mistakes, they have different weaknesses when it comes to language or skills. So, it is important to actually give each student personalized feedback according to their own mistakes. And one of the best ways to do that is through writing. So, again, if we're going to take the example of teaching the past simple, or simple past, and the students are trying to write sentences using the past simple. That would be a great activity for you to actually see what kind of mistakes they make with the past simple and give personalized feedback to each one. For example, some of the students can make mistakes when it comes to using the negative form of the past simple. Other students might make mistakes when it comes to making questions in the past simple. So it is important to actually give each student specific feedback on the points or the weaknesses they have when it comes to the target language. The next point is about the feedback format and how we can actually use a variety of formats to deliver or provide feedback. So it is important to not only rely on one specific format or type of feedback. For example, it is not very useful to only give feedback verbally. You have to use a variety of ways when you provide feedback. For example, you can use written feedback, you can provide feedback through writing, or you can actually use technology based tools to provide feedback. Again, going back to our example of teaching the past simple. So instead of just verbally giving feedback all the time, you can use some apps to actually help you provide feedback. For example, you can use Google Translate to help your students focus on pronunciation when it comes to the past simple. As we know, the ending of um, the past forms of verbs can be different and hard to pronounce for most of the students because when we add the ed to the end of verbs, they are not all pronounced the same. So you can actually ask them to record themselves using, Google Translate, and then see if the app is going to recognize their pronunciation. And if not, you can actually ask them, so why do you think it was not very clear? And then you can provide feedback that way. The last point we're going to discuss today when it comes to feedback is about how to encourage our students to self reflect on their own language. Self reflection is very, very important when it comes to learner autonomy. So, it is important for us as teachers to encourage students to actually reflect on their own language and the use of the language, especially when it comes to their weaknesses. So, one way to do that is by using a worksheet for self reflection. For example, again, we're going back to the same lesson about the past simple. And for that type of lesson, you can have a worksheet that is designed in a way that there's a section for mistakes, and there's a section for the type of mistake, and there's a section for actions. So students can actually record themselves doing activities, and then after the activity, they can listen to themselves and then write down the mistakes they make, and then the type of mistakes they make, and then they can think of some solutions. Of course, if they have no idea about how to work on this specific language error, you can actually give some solutions to them. But that gives them just a chance to increase their awareness of the mistakes they make and the type of mistakes they make, and also gives them a chance to think about ways to improve those specific weaknesses. So today we discussed 5 points about how to give feedback to our students. You can leave a comment and tell us which one did you find the most useful. And if you found that video useful, please share it with as many teachers as you can.